The United Nations says it won't take part in a new US-backed aid scheme in Gaza. The UN said the group that proposed the operation, called the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, is not impartial, neutral, or independent. It said the fund's aid distribution plan did not comply with basic UN principles. Aid groups have called on Israel to lift its blockade of Gaza, warning that much of the population is at risk of starvation. The UN insisted it was more than capable of distributing aid to Gaza without the need for a new group.
What we believe is that there's no need to reinvent the wheel on this. We ourselves, as the UN, have a plan, an excellent plan, that is ready to be implemented as soon as we're allowed to do our work. I've talked about how we have trucks ready to go. We have more than 171,000 metric tons of food on top of other life-saving supplies, and they're ready to go the minute that Israel...
And let's bring in H.A. Hellyer with the London-based Royal United Services Institute for Defense and Security Studies and the Center for American Progress. He speaks to us from Cairo, Egypt. Mr. Hellyer, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
So just to understand this correctly, the reason that Israel is consenting to let the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, that's the GHF, allowing them to bring aid into Gaza is that it promises to do that, to distribute that aid without the participation of Hamas. Is this the reason why they're allowing them in, and what would that actually look like in practice?
No, I think the reason that they're allowing them to come in is because the United States has made it very clear that movement has to happen when it comes to aid distribution. But it should be noted, and your viewers should pay attention to this, the aid plan has been roundly criticized by international aid organizations, the UN, because it simply won't reach the entirety of Gaza at all. The plan is full of flaws. It means that people in Gaza, Palestinians in Gaza, will have to pick up a really meager amount of aid. And here we're talking really about food. We're not talking about what is needed for people to actually have a quality of life that's worth living. It's based on essentially calorie counting to make sure that starvation for the people that actually get this aid don't starve. But of course, that's not exactly providing for the essential needs of the people in Gaza, which is why there have been so many criticisms of this from the international community, from various European countries. It's really something to be very concerned about, which is why the UN aid chief, Tom Fletcher, addressed the UN earlier this week and said that the world had to stop in order to prevent a genocide from taking place. Of course, many countries already said that there is a genocide taking place, and the world needs to intervene in order to stop that from happening.
But why exactly does the UN criticize this organization? It's not, I've read the criticism, and it's not because of the amount of food they have, it's the way they're distributing it. So what I'm understanding, usually what the UN does and what a lot of other organizations do, they bring in the aid, they allow the government of Gaza, which is Hamas, to distribute that aid, whereas this organization says that they won't do that. And what I'm trying to understand here is that the difference in why it's not getting aid to the rest of Gaza?
I'm really sorry. This is just an Israeli talking point.
Okay.
The UN has been providing aid across the territory of Gaza, not simply over the last few weeks or the last few months, but for many years. It doesn't give it to Hamas. It doesn't give it to the government. It gives it to the people of Gaza, which is why when you have this quote unquote new aid distribution system going through, which, by the way, they say themselves won't even be able to reach more than 60% of the people of Gaza, it's been really roundly criticized because.
Unfortunately, we have lost you at the moment. I don't know if you can. If you could start over real quick, you dropped out for a second there.
I'm sorry about that, just about connection. I'm afraid that the information you've gotten is incorrect. It also means that the people who try to get that aid will have to get to these distribution centers on foot, carry very small amounts of aid that are meant to provide for them and their families for a couple of weeks. There's really no question that this is a very, very flawed plan. and one that also includes the demand by the Israelis that Palestinians yet again are displaced from especially the north of Gaza. The situation on the ground is really quite dire. Your viewers should know this. It's why, again, so many countries have roundly criticized this, countries that are not exactly in the business of giving such strong criticism to the state of Israel, but they're incredibly concerned, and they should be concerned. Germany should be concerned. Certainly, the international community is very concerned that after 19 months of war in Gaza, we've come to this point where starvation and famine is very real for people across the Gaza Strip.
Okay, we'll have to leave it there. Many thanks, H.A. Hellyer. Thanks for joining us.